So let's stop reading their lies and let's look at the lawsuit itself. And so I had our lawyers call up the lawsuit, and you can see the first thing is it was filed on February 10th. Well, it's May already, so it's more than 2 months ago. Isn't that interesting? That it only makes news now, which tells you something. The bad guys, the eco-terrorists, they don't want this news out there. Far from companies having to be afraid of bad PR, it's the opposite. The Greenpeaces of the world are afraid of bad PR, are afraid of other people maybe getting courage and suing too. They're afraid that ordinary people will turn against the lawbreakers. Isn't that interesting? I bet there were nervous Nellies at CN that didn't want to sue. Oh, we'll be eaten live in the media. Well, obviously the CBC is going to hate you. But ordinary Canadians are on your side. These eco-terrorists are the ones who should worry. So look at it. As you can see in the document, the plaintiff is CN Rail. The defendants for now are named as Joe and Jane Doe. Those are just dummy names, placeholders, until the actual identity of the criminals can be found. And I hope they will be found. I'm sure they will be found. The rest of the first page is just administrative details on the lawsuit. This whole thing's only 10 pages long. It's very short. Let's go to page 2. Statement of facts, paragraph 1. CN introduces itself in paragraph 2. It describes the criminals as engaged in blockading CN operations and obstructing or otherwise impeding, counseling others to obstruct and impede the movement or operation of CN's trains. I like that. So it's not just those who did it, but those who counseled others to do it. The ringleaders. I wonder if Zipporah Berman or Gerald Butts are amongst them. Paragraphs 3 to 6 just describe what CN's operations are like. They ship important goods of every description all around North America, but there's focus on Canada and BC. If you go to the next page, the third page, you'll see more descriptions. Let me just read paragraph 10, just because it's interesting. CN operates an average of 18 commodity, passenger, mixed freight, and container freight trains daily over the BCN North Line. These trains are on average 10,000 feet long, with 160 cars, and each may carry freight for multiple customers. 10,000 feet long. That's almost 2 miles. Imagine that train trying to stop on a dime because some thug is trying to derail it on the track. That's what happened there. Stopping a train that long, it's like stopping a ship. It doesn't happen immediately. By the way, you'll see the underlined paragraphs 12, 13, 14, etc. That just means that those paragraphs were added in an amended version of the lawsuit. That's to show the judge what's new in the amended lawsuit. In particular, such as paragraph 16, you can see they were putting in the dollar amount in question. CN moves over $100 million a day along the whole BC South line. So, okay, next page, we're halfway through. It's a description of the blockades, a short lawsuit. Starting on or about February 8th, 2020, protesters blockaded, obstructed, or otherwise impeded or counseled others to obstruct or impede the movement of CN's trains. 18, the protesters purportedly in support of the Wet'suwet'en Nation. I like that, purportedly. That's the word I use. Because as we've told you before, the Wet'suwet'en First Nation supports the pipeline, probably supports CN Rail too. So it's interesting, this lawsuit was filed almost immediately, right? Protests started in earnest on Feb 8. The lawsuit was filed and amended again Feb 10. That's very fast. Paragraph 20. Between February 8th and February 9th, 2020, approximately 31 freight trains have been stopped due to the blockade. You can see they added more details about the damages and the danger. I posted this entire 10-page lawsuit on our website if you want to read it in full. It's interesting reading. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand it. It's pretty well written and clear. Paragraph 25. As a result of the blockade, CN has suffered and will continue to suffer significant economic damages. Of course they will, and of course they have. 28. CN will provide full particulars of damages prior to trial. Yeah, so they'll just gather all their facts. Okay, paragraph 29. It gets into the relief sought. That's what they're going to ask the court to do for them, including 29A. They're asking for a restraining order. I won't read the whole thing. It's pretty detailed. I'll summarize it. Stop trespassing on their train tracks and their right-of-way. Stop obstructing and stop telling people to obstruct. Look at subparagraph V there. Stop people who are physically preventing, interfering, restricting, or in any way physically interfering with the removal of any objects from the line. I guess those eco-terrorists were harassing the maintenance crews that were clearing the tracks. Lots more details. Ordering police to assist with enforcement. Yeah, good luck with that. Brenda Lucky knows who she obeys. By the way, the police are too busy patrolling playgrounds and park benches to help. And then paragraph C, damages. That means money. So that's good to see, and I hope they proceed. But I note again that this lawsuit was filed back in February. when the blockades were raging before the virus froze the whole country. It's pitiful that they had to file this at all. You normally don't have to go to civil court to ask a judge to write to the police to ask them to, be police. But I like the lawsuit. I don't know if it's up to date. I've had our lawyers reach out to the court to check the case file, see if anything's moving on it. But I can't help but note again that this was filed in February, and yet the CBC's crack reporter in northern BC says, quote, in a claim filed in BC Supreme Court this week. No, it wasn't this week. It was this year, sister. So here's what I take away from this. 1, you can't trust Trudeau's politicized RCMP to help you when it's a left-wing criminal. You have to go to court yourself and hope for the best. Number 2, CN Rail finally did that. They were in such jeopardy, they stopped being afraid of the bad press. And guess what? Bad press didn't really come. 3, as usual, you can't trust the CBC. In fact, whatever they say, the opposite is likely true. Here, they didn't even get the date of the lawsuit right. They were weird. 4, and finally, I think Canadians are sick of all this bad behavior, and eco-terrorists maybe are sensing it. Normally, you sue leftists and they squawk, oh, you're shutting us down, but not here. They're being quiet because I think maybe they know the mood in the country's turning against them. Good. I'll dig more into this to see if the lawsuit is actually proceeding or if it's just stopped because of the virus shutting down the courts. I'm glad that finally job creators in Canada like CN Rail are fighting back against foreign-funded eco-terrorists. So while there are a few asterisks here, a few caveats, would you agree? It's great to see anyone finally fighting back. That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.